Hey yogis, welcome to Vinyasa and Vines. My name is Candace. Today I'm going to take you through a quick tutorial on Adho Mukha Svanasana or downward facing dog. Downward facing dog is easily one of the most recognizable poses in yoga, and it's one that we will continue to come back to in our practice. So let's get started. We're going to start in tabletop position, hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. From here, we're going to walk our hands out a few inches past our shoulders. We're going to tuck our toes under, and using core strength, we're going to lift our hips up and back. So you want your hands to be about shoulder width distance apart. Feet need to be about hip width distance apart. The goal here is to elongate from the crown of your head to the tip of your tailbone. Think about drawing your belly button towards your spine as you activate your core to support your lower back, and think about pushing your chest towards your thighs. Your heels might not come all the way down to the ground, and that's okay. Now, if you find yourself rounding and pulling forward due to tightness in your hamstrings, we can fix that by bending into the knees. And that's going to allow us to keep that length through our spine. Aside from bending your knees, you can also use blocks to create more space in your shoulders. So I'm going to take my blocks, I'm going to place them on their lowest setting, and I'm going to hold them with my pinky and my thumb on either side of the blocks. And from here, I'm going to keep them shoulder width distance apart. I'm going to tuck my toes under, and I'm going to lift my hips up and back. So now I've taken some pressure off of my shoulders. I'm able to draw my shoulder blades down my back and away from my ears. I'm able to create one long line from the crown of my head to my tailbone. And I'm also able now, because of the space that I've created with my blocks, I'm able to get a great stretch down that posterior chain all the way from my ankles and all the way up to my tailbones through my glutes. Now, if downward facing dog is still too intense for you, you can take puppy pose as an alternative. So we're going to come back to hands and knees. And from our tabletop position, we're going to make sure the top of our feet is pushing down into the ground. We're going to walk our hands out all the way forward and allow our chest to melt down into the mat. My hips are still over my knees. The tops of my feet are pushing into the mat. And I'm drawing my shoulders away from my ears to allow my chest to melt towards the mat. I'm going to ripple forward here to Sphinx pose, which is a gentle heart opening pose. And then I'm going to come back to take a seat. So those are some modifications for downward facing dog. If you're having trouble with your hamstrings and your hamstrings are a little tight, remember, just bend into the knees and help keep your spine elongated. If your shoulders are tight, or if it's uncomfortable to put a lot of weight on your shoulders or into your hands, you can always use two blocks as well to create more space and then get a stretch along that posterior chain. Again, you can also take puppy pose if either one of those variations are too much for you. I hope this was helpful for you today, yogis. Please check my channel every Monday for a new 30-minute flow as well as a new pose tutorial. Also find Vinyasa and Vines on Facebook. We would love to have you as part of our community. Grow with the flow, yogis. Namaste.